Tribal governments have existed in the United States long before European contact, governing themselves through tribal laws, cultural traditions, and religious customs. Today, there are more than 500 federally recognized tribes in the U.S. whose governments are diverse in both structure and in the decision-making process.
In 1934, Congress passed the Indian Reorganization Act and attached a model constitution and bylaws, which still is followed today.
Most contemporary tribal governments are democracies, modeled upon the federal system of the three branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. The chief executive of a tribe is usually called a chairman, chairwoman, or chairperson, but may also be called a principal chief, governor, president, mayor, spokesperson, or representative. The chief executive presides over the tribe's legislative body and executive branch. An elected business committee and chairman, recognized by the Secretary of the Interior, have authority to speak and act for the tribe as a whole, and to represent it in negotiations with federal, state, and local governments. Some tribes have also established or are building their judicial branch to interpret tribal laws and administer justice. Tribes have the inherent power to govern all matters involving their members and a range of matters in Indian country. This is known as sovereignty.
Tribal sovereignty is really the right for the tribes to govern themselves, to protect the health, safety, and welfare of their membership within the tribal boundaries.
In the United States, tribes have always been sovereign. After the United States was organized, the young United States gradually expanded and subdued the tribal governments by force, and ultimately the tribal governments were reduced to domestic dependent nations, still retaining their sovereignty, but conquered by the United States government.
Self-government is essential for tribal communities to continue to protect their unique cultures and identities. And in turn, tribal cultures and traditions provide the foundation upon which tribal communities are governed.
Tribal sovereignty is extremely important. It's our survival. It's what keeps us together as Native people. It helps us preserve our culture. It gives us opportunities for self-determination, self-reliance through economic development. I feel strongly that tribal sovereignty is the only reason why we are able to exist as a federally recognized tribe today.
Because Native American tribes are governments, they interact with other governments on a government-to-government basis, a principle grounded in the United States Constitution.
Government-to-government relations is really the understanding that tribes are a government. They're not a special interest group. They're not a group of citizens. They are a government similar to the states within the United States.
The government-to-government relationship began between the tribes and the federal government as part of their domestic dependent status, but it's since grown to include government-to-government relations with states and also counties and cities.
However, not all government bodies respect the concept of a government-to-government relationship with tribes. Such is the case with Santa Barbara County, the county in which the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians reside.
Santa Barbara County had a long history of neglect, possibly benign neglect, but definitely neglect, until the advent of tribal gaming in the early and late 80s. And after gaming became established and the tribe became somewhat self-sufficient, then that neglect matured into hostility. For example, just last August, the Board of Supervisors, on a 3-2 vote, decided the tribe was not a government, and therefore the county did not have to negotiate with the tribe about a pending fee-to-trust application.
The relationships we have with Santa Barbara County haven't been easy over the years. I think they've become perhaps a little better, but again, I think individuals within the county government don't really have the understanding of tribal sovereignty or really what even tribal governments are about.
We'll continue to work towards informing our partners at the county level. Our tribe has a tradition of moving forward in a positive way, no matter what we're up against, and we'll continue to do that.
The Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians tribal chairman believes that the most critical point the public understands is that a tribe is a government.
I think it's important that individuals know that tribes are government. We operate very similar to a state government, very similar to a county government, very similar to a city government. the jurisdiction just falls under the tribal government and ran by the tribal membership.